Alright, so now we're starting up Chris's campaign, right? And is it better than Leon's campaign? Maybe Leon's campaign was just the albatross of this particular game, and maybe Chris will jack it back up. Well, does it? In short, no. In vulgar, fuck no! Ugh, painful. Alright, so we begin the Chris's campaign with Chris somewhere in a bar, getting drunk, dicking around. Apparently something bad has happened. And there's this guy eating a steak who's kind of tries to make a little bit of half small talk with him. Chris starts some shit and gets confronted. You know, the bartender throws a drink in his face and he gets confronted by some other guy who's telling him to leave. Chris looks like he's about to fuck the guy up when steak eating man interferes. Find out this guy's name is Piers something or other, I don't give a fuck. And it's at this point we discover that Chris has suffered like a massive mental break. The game calls it post-traumatic amnesia. Now, I don't know if that exists or not. I've certainly never heard of it. But I have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder. So, okay, let's just go with the assumption of that. That Chris has suffered such a traumatic event and that he's lost some of his memory. I don't think he's lost all of it. It wasn't really clear. But he's lost some of his memory and disappeared. And now this Piers guy has tracked him down. And right then and there, we're not even 5 minutes in, and I'm calling bullshit already. Okay, Chris has suffered some severe trauma, and he's disappeared, and this guy's looking for him? You mean to tell me that all Chris's good friends wouldn't be looking for him? Where's Jill? Where's Barry? Fuck, where's Claire? Okay, Claire basically, Resident Evil 2 and I believe Code Veronica, her whole thing is find Chris. You mean to tell me she just, oh yeah, your brother, something really bad happened and, he's kind of freaked out and we can't find him. Oh, what, she's just going to be, well, I'm not going to look for him this time. Every time I do, zombies. Is that what it was? Or, what is Jill, is she too busy dyeing her hair back from blonde? They made this whole big deal out of partners in Resident Evil 5. Fucking Sheva! Christ, I hate Sheva, but I would have, anything. We ain't seen Barry in how long? But okay, Chris has suffered some severe traumatic stress and lost some memory, and he's having, these massive, sharp pains in his head that just drop him to the ground. So clearly, we all know what the cure is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, he probably needs, medication, therapy, some nice quiet time, or surrounded by people who care and love about him. Oh, fuck no, that's not how it works. You need to give him a gun, you need to give him a squad of men again, and you need to send his ass back out to the battlefield. Because maybe, if there's enough explosions and death, then, that'll make the trauma go away and he'll get his memory back. Ugh. So, oh God, already it hurts. And we're introduced to our new character, Piers. Don't give a shit about him. Why is he Chris's partner? Especially when you have, once again, you have Claire to choose from, Barry to choose from, Jill to choose from. Fuck, how about Carlos Oliveira from Resident Evil 3? We ain't seen him since then. And he would make a perfectly logical addition to the BSAA, the group it is. And, that could even excuse you why Jill isn't there. You'd be like, well, Jill's still recovering, from all the viruses or whatever the fuck that Wesker pumped into a Resident Evil 5. So she asks her good friend Carlos that she, went through the Nemesis crap with, hey, go check up on Chris. But, of course not. So Chris's campaign is supposed to be the action-y one. If Leon's was survival horror, Chris's is supposed to be like, Resident Evil 4 and 5, just with this engine. couldn't tell you if that's the case. In Chris's campaign, we do not have to deal with zombies. We're introduced to something called the Jawavo or Javo or whatever the fuck. They're Ganados in everything but name. They wear stupid little masks and they speak some kind of jumbled up language and they shoot at you. Yeah, now we're at the shooty part of the game with all that crap. But there's one little twist. Remember how when in Resident Evil 4 you would shoot a Granados in the head, and sometimes his head would explode, and that thing would come out and try to get you? Well, in this game, these Javo can mutate all different kinds of ways. You shoot them in the arm, their arm mutates. Shoot them in the chest, their chest. Anywhere you shoot them, a mutation is more than likely to happen. And it doesn't even really matter. The only annoying part about it is when they're mutating, shooting at them doesn't do shit. You know, you gotta wait until they're done, so you gotta kind of watch. It's just fucking boring. This whole game is so fucking boring. But we deal with it. So anyway, we go through, and Chris, despite suffering some, traumatic stress and all this memory loss, and he's having head pains that are dropping him. Yeah, where he's in command, he'll handle it. And we end up going through, rescuing some hostages out of a building. Really boring. But then, okay, HQ's like, oh, okay, guys, you got to get out because we're going to bomb this building. We're going to just burn it to the ground. All right. So you get the hostage, you go to get out, and of course, we all know what happens. The second before your two main characters get out the door, something happens and the doorway collapses and they can't get out. And HQ's like, oh man, you guys better hurry up because the bombers are on their way. They're going to blow up that building any second. And you got to, do the stupid, boring race to get out of there. Because you couldn't just walk out the door. You have to have the false tension, escape, like, ooh, oh no, the bombers are coming. And what? You can't have your command center, radio the bombers and be like, hey, listen, we still got some guys in there, so hold off on the bombing. Because they're like, the birds, they're in fly, they're coming. Yeah, so what the fuck does that even matter? What, once an airplane leaves the hangar or wherever, you can't talk to them again and be like, listen, you just need to hold off, just circle around 1 second, we still got men in there. What, you can't do that? It's got to be a big panicky event. You got to get out of there because the bombers are going to bomb that even if you're in there because we can't tell them not to. Stupid horse shit. And we're introduced to the same problems as before. This game is obsessed with taking control away from you, as I said before. I can't count how many times in Chris's scenario, the camera will pan away from where you want to look to go, oh no, look at this, look at this. There's a part where these things are shooting at you and they hit a helicopter that's kind of hovering around, and instead of letting you focus on the enemies that are shooting, it pulls away to show you the exploding helicopter. Look at the spectacle. And this is basically just the game jerking off in your face. But I think it really highlights the insecurity of this game. The game and, by extension, the developers of this game don't trust their work, don't have enough confidence in their work to fully believe that it will hold your attention and that you might look out of curiosity or interest. No, they have to force you to look because otherwise they're like, well, they're not going to see it because this is just stupid bullshit. And that's exactly what it is. So anyway, you get through that, and we have the exploding thing. And one other point of contention before I move on, the lack of ammo again. Now, this is especially glaring because, unlike Leon, who was just kind of thrown into his situation, Chris was sent there. You mean to tell me that an anti-bioterrorism group gets sent into combat and they don't have, without adequate munitions? I mean, you got like 1 or 2 clips for your rifle and like 1 or 2 for a pistol. You basically have enough ammo on your person for like 2 encounters in this game. And then you're back to kicking boxes open, scrounging for ammo. And it's just like, it starts to get very, very annoying. Because That's a realistic situation. Yeah, I'm sure lots of soldiers all over the world in Iraq and everything now, they've only got like 20 rounds in their rifle, and then when they run out, they have to ignore the insurgents shooting at them, go around kicking crates open, hoping that it'll drop a couple of bullets. Bullshit. And once again, this is not a survival horror game. It doesn't even try. You can't conserve ammo. You have to use it because there's always, your mission objective is almost always kill fucking everything. So if that's what you're going to do, give me enough ammo to do it. But no. Okay, so we rescue the hostages and we get out of the building. And we walk around for just a little bit, and ooh, flashback time. We're going to find out what happened to Chris and why he lost his memory. So we go back in time in his memory, whatever, and we're introduced to a group of no-name soldiers we don't care about because they're all going to be dead. And oh, but one kid named Finn, he's the young rookie, and we're introduced to Piers, which annoys me even more once we find out that Piers was Chris's partner during the previous campaign. Because in the opening cutscene, he's like, so this is what has become of the great Chris Redfield, huh? And I'm like, you were fucking there. If there's anyone in the whole entire world who ought to have sympathy for a soldier who's gone through massive traumatic stress and had a mental break, it ought to be another soldier, particularly one who was fucking there when it happened. Oh, my head. But anyway, we get to go through another area just killing off Juavo or whatever the fuck they are. And we get introduced to the El Gigante of this game, this big fucker, who has like this giant tube thing inserted in his back, and it gets caught and it like pulls this crap out of his back, which we later find out are his internal organs. Great fucking design. Let's have the things that keep him alive. Obviously, they're pumping stuff directly in him to keep him docile or whatever. But let's have, a very obvious weak point that can get pulled out if something gets caught. And, let's just expose all of his internal organs. Yeah, that's fucking brilliant. And it's in this flashback that you find your first weapon. You find a shotgun, so yay. And during this whole thing, you basically have to kill a shitload of Juavo. You have to take out all these anti-aircraft artillery. Why you're fighting these giants? Why they don't just, and Finn is apparently your explosive guy, and he's trying to set up, the explosive, take out the anti-aircraft guns. Why they don't use the anti-aircraft guns to shoot at the big fucking giant thing is beyond me, but whatever. But basically it's a protect Finn until his stupid timer to set up the explosive goes by, and it's really goddamn annoying. But backing up a little bit, before you get to that part, you get to this section where you have to go across a bridge. And at the end of the bridge, there's a tank. Oh no, how are we going to get past this tank? Oh god, And so you kind of fight your way through it. You're trying to hold the bridge long enough to get rid of the tank, or for Piers to do something that's going to get rid of the tank. You kind of split up. And can you guess? Can you guess how you get rid of the tank? Can you guess? Come on, can you guess? If you guessed exploding gasoline truck, you're right! Yes, that's right. The, fifth? I believe 5th or 6th. I'm going to say 6th. The 6th exploding gas truck in the game happens right now. Piers shoots the gas truck with his sniper rifle, which then explodes like a piece of artillery and takes out the tank. Yeah, because, that's what happens. You just, you shoot a gas tank, it just explodes. Never mind that has been debunked more than, a few times. You gotta have oxygen and the right mix ratio, Gasoline just doesn't go. It's the fumes that go. And it certainly wouldn't go off like you just set explosives, just because you shot it. But whatever. Then you have to hold the bridge long enough for Finn to carry a wounded soldier up a ladder and across the thing. So it's like, hold the bridge. But hey, guess what? I've got no more ammo. So I'm just sitting here with no ammo, no crates. Just sitting behind cover, just waiting. Just waiting. It's so much fun. You know, had to use all the ammo, kill all the enemies just to get over here. No ammo. Can't do anything. Guess I'll just sit here, you know. I could try to go melee the guys, but why? Fuck that, you know. And I'm basically just sitting here watching my partner Piers get shot in the face until time runs out. Oh, okay, he carried the guy over. We can go now. And then we run into not Ada. She calls herself Ada Wong, but it's not Ada. We know it's not Ada. Everyone pretty much knows it's not Ada the moment you see her. One, she's wearing purple. And as we obviously know, Ada wears red, and that's how you tell Ada from fake Ada from Leon's scenario. When you see her in purple, it's fake Ada. When you see her in red, it's the real one. So anyway, we travel with fake Ada, and she's like, oh, you know, and apparently Chris doesn't know who Ada Wong is. She says she works here and all that junk. Not to mention, it's pretty easy to tell fake Ada from Ada, because fake Ada talks a lot about engineering viruses and all that. And that's, you know, Ada Wong might be smart and a talented operative, but she's not a biochemist or whatever, scientist. If she was, she wouldn't have needed to steal viruses in the first place. She could have just made her own. But anyway, we find out the big traumatic event is fake Ada throws a giant ball spike thing, and it shoots out all these fucking, you know, needles that infect all of Chris's team, and everyone, except for Piers, and everyone dies right in front of him. You know, like, you know, and Fen is getting cocooned because that's what the C-virus does. It makes you explode, and then your body starts hardening up with all this wax stuff, and then a monster will pop out of it, which actually kind of a little cool. But, you know, so as Fenn's slowly body's hardening, he's reaching for Chris's hand, and that was the traumatic event. Chris lost his whole team. Now we're back to the present, and here we have a nice little time paradox. Remember them shotguns you picked up in the past that you didn't have before the flashback? Well, you have them now. It's like what Piers, it was like Chris and Piers were sitting there going, man, remember them shotguns we had months ago? Man, those shotguns were awesome. And the shotguns just like, they're talking about us, will yourself through time. And I know it's a little nitpick, but it's there and it's annoying. And then you have to fight another BOW, which is basically a giant invisible snake. That's right, we're doing Yawn from Resident Evil 1 again. But you don't get to fight it right away. Oh no. You just have to chase it around for about 45 minutes as it slowly kills all your unimportant team members. You know, all of which you see coming. Like one of them wanders down a hallway by himself or whatever. Or you know, just stupid horror movie crap that, you know, I can't ever see an actual military personnel doing. It's like, okay, stick together. We know this thing's here. You know, we got to, you know, form up or whatever the fuck he says. And then one of them just like, oh, I heard a noise. I won't tell anyone. I'll just walk down this hall with my flashlight to investigate. Yeah, right. So anyway, and the annoying thing is, every single time this snake thing kills one of your teammates and you find his body, there's nothing wrong with him. He's not like all tore up or covered in blood. It is literally the exact same model just laying on the ground. And that's fucking lazy. We had damaged bodies in Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation, for Christ's sake. You know? Kenneth with his head tore off, and Forrest, you know, all tore up by the crows, and Richard Aiken, I think his name was Aiken, Richard, you know, after the Yawn had bit him, and he had the two giant fang holes in his body. But this game's too lazy. And then once you finally catch up with the goddamn snake, it's so anticlimactic. You don't even, he's not even a fight, you know. He's like refracting the light, and every time he turns invisible, he opens his mouth and slowly comes at you. You shoot him in the mouth, it's no big deal. And then you end up killing him with, you know, oh, there's an electrical wire running down into a puddle, and you flip a switch and you fry him. It's fucking stupid. You know, once again, we're having problems with quick time events. I hate this game. I hate this game so much. You have to, then you start getting into fights with armored helicopters. You have to do this like 2 or 3 times. I think it was 2, but it feels like it was 3 because it takes fucking forever. Because the only thing you could use to hurt them is this grenade launcher that you just happen to pick up. You know, and that's another thing. You just happen to keep picking up weapons, which was, once again, fine in Leon's scenario, not fine in Chris's. Chris is supposed to be going in this prepared. And you know what? Here would be a perfect opportunity for Barry Burton. Barry Burton was the Star's weapons specialist. And he'd be getting pretty old by now. He was 40s in, you know, in the first game, which happened in 98. So he'd be, you know, he'd be in his 50s, 60s by now, but he could still be the BSAA weapons master or whatever. You know, in between your little campaigns, you could meet up with Barry, who could resupply you with ammunition, and you could get new weapons for him, you know. It would have been nice to see Barry, and not to mention, you have this just generic voice that's your HQ. That could have been Barry or somebody we knew as well. It's just some no-name voice. It would have been, you know, you could have got a little back and forth, some interesting shit. But once again, why would we want to have interesting shit? You know, might as well just have boredom. And one of the other big problems is when Chris's campaign starts to intersect with Leon's. And I'm going to try not to talk as long as I did with Resident Evil, or Leon scenario. But when it starts to, you know, intersect, you have to start watching the same fucking cutscenes again. The same exact ones. That annoys me on a level I can't even begin to explain. No one likes to watch the same cutscene a whole bunch of times, really. So it's like, but in the same fucking game, you had to make me do the same shit. Like, there's a section in it just Leon's campaign where you're chasing Ada down this hallway, or you know, Ada, fake Ada. I think it's fake Ada. You can't really tell at this point because she's running. I don't remember what color it was, but I'm pretty sure it's fake Ada. And she throws a smoke grenade and gets away. Then you have to do the exact same thing with Chris. So it's like, okay, maybe one of them was chasing the real Ada and the other one was chasing the fake Ada. But either way, doesn't fucking matter. Then you have to do this generic chase Ada sequence where first Piers is driving and it's a rail shooter and you're shooting at enemies, and at one point and you're trying to chase fake Ada who's driving a sports car, and she throws a grenade out of the car to try to stop you, and what does this grenade happen to land under? Can you guess? Can you guess? That's right, a gasoline truck! Okay, that would be the 7th exploding gasoline truck. Yay! Oh my god. This hurts. This just is sucking all the life out of me. Just even trying to, just reliving this to talk about it. But anyway, then a whole bunch of other bullshit happens I don't even care about. And you end up in another rail shooting section, only now you're flying a jet, and you're trying to stop the missile that hit the city in Leon's campaign. So you already know, if you played Leon's campaign, that you're not going to stop this missile. And this is like the most, it's so pointless. You know, you're flying this, you know, because if you're Chris, you're flying, if you're Piers, you're shooting, and you got to take out these anti-aircraft guns. And every once in a while you shoot a missile, they shoot a missile at you, and all you have to do is hit like R trigger, or R1, and it just, you know, you do a barrel roll, and the missile misses you, because I'm sure it's just that simple. So you have this whole big hoopla of, oh, okay, we stopped the missile, and you get out of there, oh, but the missile turned back on, and then you have to watch the same fucking cutscene that you saw in Leon's one, and then the same bit of dialogue of Chris and Leon talking. Ugh. And now I'm just going to skip, you know, and then, you don't even skip. Now you're into the end of the game, and it's underwater oil tanker. And once again, we come up with more problems. There's too many fucking cutscenes. I swear to you, every 2 to 3 minutes, this game has to stop, rip control away from you, and show you another fucking cutscene. In cutscenes for shit you don't need to show me. You know, there's a cutscene of Chris giving his gun to Piers and fiddling around on a computer and pushing some buttons and an alarm goes off. Did that need to be a cutscene? You could have let me do that. I could just walked over, hit a button, and did it myself. But whatever. Now you end up setting off. Leon had to deal with Tyrannosaurus Rex Simmons, who, with his C virus. Chris has to deal with something called Haos, which again is the ultimate life form, but it just looks like a gigantic torso, with arms and a head. It doesn't look like it could do anything, but apparently it could spread the C virus real good. So you have a bunch of bullshit runaway sequences, quick time event shit. One section, and this is another point I could touch you to mind. When you're doing these runaway sequences, the fucking camera will not show you where you're going. Just like what I said before, it has to show you the spectacle. Here, I have to run from this giant monster before it catches it, kills me, but it won't show me what's in front of me. So it's basically turning into trial and error, because there comes a point where you have to slide under this thing, and if you don't know what's coming, well, you drop down and crawl, but now you move too slow and you die. I don't give a fuck about the monster behind me. I don't need to watch him. I need to see where I am fucking going. But no. Gotta stare at the monster who's climbing along the walls and ripping things down. It would be one thing if they gave me an option like press this button to look behind you to see where he is, and then just kept that over the shoulder view. Normal, so I could see where I'm fucking going. People complain about the old school Resident Evil games and their camera angles. But you know what? I never had as much trouble telling where I was fucking going or just trying to see as I do in this game. The camera is absolute shit. But anyway, you get to the final bit of the Haos boss fight. No ammo, once again. No ammo the whole time. Once again, running around, just like with Leon, busting crates. Here's a boss fight. No ammo, no ammo, no ammo. Could you please give me some fucking ammo? I need to fight this boss. I can't leave until I kill the boss. Could you give me some ammo? Oh, no, okay. But anyway, during the course of all this, and once again, it's just a reoccurring fight. It's like, kill the BOW. Okay, I kill it. Now kill it. Oh, no, run away. No, kill it. It's not really dead. But during this, when earlier when you were chasing not Ada, you managed to catch up to her, and you get into her briefcase, and Piers takes a vial of the C virus, a vial with an injector. So Chris is like, yeah, we need to take that back to the lab, have it analyzed. Okay, I can understand that. Perfectly smart to do. Don't want to just leave it sitting there. But while you're fighting Haos, Piers gets his arm impaled by a hunk of metal as it's knocked down, and then as Chris is trying to help him, Haos hurls like a big fucking piece of concrete that smashes the already wounded arm. So Piers basically, once he's trying to get to Chris to help Chris, because Chris has his hands full of Haos now and he's pinned, he basically rips his own arm off to because he has no choice. His arms, it's not even like he rips it off. It's basically cut off anyway. He's just pulling off the last little bit of connecting tissue. And there he sees the C virus laying on the ground. So of course this anti-bioterrorism soldier, dedicated to wiping out all, viral weaponry, does the perfectly logical thing and injects himself with the virus, which regenerates his arm into this hunk of, it doesn't even look like an arm. Ooh, but it gives him the ability to shoot lightning. Of course! Because we all know viruses give you Lightning Emperor Palpatine abilities. I'm calling bullshit right there. I called bullshit in Code Veronica, or Code Veronica X, whichever you want to call it, with Alexia and her stupid pyrokinetic blood. That was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now. So you have this fight with Haos, and the whole thing is basically, Piers has mutated into a BOW now who shoots lightning, but he's fighting the virus, and he's shooting lightning, and you guys basically have to kill Haos. It's a boring fight. It's just completely boring, because you can only hurt Haos if you shoot him in his exposed organs, But you wouldn't really know that because, let's say you shoot him in the head with a grenade, he reacts. You know, you could, I mean, there's one point where you could get him stunned, and he'll be like rolling all over the ground and bouncing back from the explosions, and you think you're hurting him, but you're not. But you're never told that. So if you're not careful, you end up running out of ammo, and you didn't even hurt him. Every once in a while, he spits out these exploding sacks, and after they blow up, sometimes they drop ammo, usually like 10 pistol rounds. But anyway, you kill him, not really. You get to an escape pod. Chris is all like, don't worry, we're going to get you out of here, Piers. You're going to be just fine. We're going to get you out of here. He's like horribly mutated, and it's like, Chris, what the fuck do you think you're going to do for him? You think you're going to cure him now? But yeah, obviously he's lost 2 teams. He doesn't want to lose this guy. And, Piers is still helping out, blowing up walls that get in your way while you're running out of the exploding facility with his lightning super arm. Such bullshit. Which actually brings me to another question here. I always laugh in movies when someone gets infected or mind controlled or whatever, and somebody's always like, you gotta fight it! You gotta fight it! How do you fight it? I mean, seriously, how do you consciously fight it? I mean, like when you have the flu, your body has, you got something in you. The flu virus. How do you fight it? You can't consciously will yourself to fight it. So how the fuck do you fight this? I mean, that, it's turning your, mind into mush. How do you fight it to stay in control? Or how do you fight to break mind control? It's always been something that's bothered me. But anyway, you get into the stupid-ass escape pod. Of course, Piers stops Leon from pulling him in him. Piers shoves Leon in the pod. And despite all of his begging and pleading, Piers sacrifices himself. He's just going to stay with the underwater oil rig, which is exploding. And blah. And they want it to be this big emotional moment, like, no, Piers, come on, there's still time, we can still fix this, we'll take you to the lab, there's got to be a cure, but at the same time, we don't care about Piers. And it's not just me being like, oh, I don't care about Piers, it's the fact that, who is Piers? What is Piers? He has no character, he has no development. Especially because he's a soldier, and no offense, soldiers, to all you people out there, in terms of a literary character, you're not that fucking interesting. Your job as a soldier is not that interesting from a writing perspective because you just have a job. You just follow your orders and give your orders and do your shit. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not really an insult, but it's not like there's a lot of there's not a lot of wiggle room. And Piers isn't like some character we've known for years that we've grown to care about. He's the new guy. So when you bring in the new guy and then you kill the new guy in the same thing, it's just like, meh. And honestly, for Leon's scenario, or not Leon, Chris's scenario is supposed to be the action scenario. Less shit blows up than in Leon's, and it's a whole lot less action-packed in terms of the cutscenes. Thankfully, there's only 2 exploding gasoline trucks, and not that many times where you fall down pits. I mean, there's an awful lot of collapsing stuff, but when that happens, you're generally playing it, so I won't hold that against it. But it bugs me. The whole thing is shit. And what bothers me most is Chris has suffered massive trauma, lost his memory, so let's throw him back into combat. Yeah, because that'll fix him. And you got this guy who can't remember the last time this happened, can't remember losing his team, is having these massive, spikes of pain in his head that are dropping him, and you're going to give him command? What the fuck kind of organization is this? Who's running this BSAA? Or what, BSAA, too many A's there. Is it like bullshit assholes are us or something? Because you wouldn't want that guy in charge. I mean, he can't even remember who he is, hardly. And there's another, in addition to the opening cutscene where Pierce says it, there's once again after the whole team dies and Chris is filled with vengeance towards Ada, Pierce is like, whatever happened to the great Chris Redfield? Is this where you are now? It's like, dude, you know what has happened to him. Why do you keep asking him, what happened to you? What happened to you? You were fucking there. I don't care how tough a person is or how trained they are. When you go through enough trauma and physical body damage that it hurts you so deeply, there's nothing you can do about that. All the people throughout history who suffered from traumatic trauma, shell shock, whatever you want to call it, post-traumatic stress disorder, they're not suffering from that because they let it happen or because they want to or they didn't fight it hard enough. It just doesn't work that way. It's irritating. It's like, whatever happened to great Chris Redfield? Like, I idolized you. It's like, well, he's a 39-year-old man who's been through some incredibly horrific shit, and he finally snapped, and you've thrown him back into combat, but because that's going to fix him, right? Anyway, up to half an hour. Long story short, this scenario sucked. I actually thought Leon's was a little bit better, but that's because I like Leon. Piers is less annoying than the Helena bitch that we don't care about, but that's only because he generally keeps his mouth shut. And you don't get her stupid bullshit of I'll tell you later, I'll tell you later. But the last boss fight, bullshit. Didn't take as long as Leon's boss fights. I don't know why I keep saying Chris, too many characters. Didn't take that long as opposed to Leon's. But at the same time, I'm calling absolute bullshit on the Emperor Palpatine mutation lightning arm. And the fact that he knows how to use it 3 seconds after mutating. But that's it. I'm cutting it here. I'm not going to sit here and rant. I'm getting too pissed. Join me next time when I go over Jake's scenario. Yay!